Now this is a weed. Good morning, everyone. You're watching the Green Dream Project. This is Jessica. I'm standing outside this little greenhouse, and today I thought I'd give you a look inside and I'll show you what's going on in there so far this winter. Briefly, I want to talk about my experience so far using a greenhouse. You should know this is my first real experience with a greenhouse. Now, I was born and raised in what would be considered a humid continental climate. So we had warm to hot summers and cold, snowy winters. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to have experience with growing in a greenhouse. I had relatives that had gardens, but they were all kind of summer gardens outside. And for the past almost a decade, I've been living in Arizona, and mostly in central Arizona, which is a hot desert climate. So very mild winters and hot summers. We did have a greenhouse there in central Arizona, but I didn't get much use out of it, really. I think I started some plants in there, and it wasn't too long after that we ended up moving here. So for the past year, we've been here in southeast Arizona. It's much higher in elevation, cooler temperatures. We've actually gotten some snow this winter, which I haven't seen since I've been living in Arizona. And we've had some freezing temperatures. The coldest we saw it get was 13 degrees here. I think that's the coldest temperature I've personally experienced while living in Arizona. I've done studying about greenhouses, and I know some things about climates and microclimates and passive solar and things like that. There was so much going on this past year, just getting things set up on our homestead, that I didn't take enough time to prepare an adequate spot for growing plants in the winter. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's go inside and I'll show you some of the plants in there and how they're doing. Here are some green onions that were donated by Grace. They came from her refrigerator, and I think she bought them from the store, and I was able to just plant them. She had them in some water, and they've been doing just fine. Check this out. This is store-bought lettuce too. After I used the leaves, I put it in some water, it rooted, and I planted it here, and it's actually started making like a few small heads. Also, we got some romaine lettuce, and that's black-seeded Simpson. Here's some spinach. This is America spinach. So far, been having success with this. Over here is a large pot with some mint in it. I believe this is chocolate mint, and that's doing great. It's spreading out in there. My aloe vera has had it kind of rough. Since we did have that hard freeze, it did not like that. I think it was also struggling with being in direct sun because it wasn't used to that. But I know these plants are pretty resilient. They've already bounced back a few times from similar challenges. So I'll probably be cutting these back, cut off the dead portions, and I will expect them to bounce back. Now this is a weed. This is called London Rocket. I did not plant that in this pot. but there must have been seeds and they sprouted. But London Rocket is edible. The leaves, the flowers, and the seeds are all edible. I've eaten it before. It has kind of a spicy flavor, but you can see these are the seeds that are forming, and I'll probably be harvesting them and saving them. So you can see there's not a lot going on in there, but it's given me a way to do some kind of growing out here in a space that's protected from animals and somewhat from the weather. But the thing that I'll need to keep in mind when planning my permanent greenhouse is that it needs to be climate controlled. The temperature and humidity and airflow, which is limited if you're just using something like this. During the day, when the sun is heating it, it gets hot in there, sometimes too hot, so it needs to be opened up. It gets humid, which is fine for us here, but it does need some ventilation. It really needs some kind of insulation and or a heat sink. So I think it would have worked better if I maybe put some straw bales along the north side, or even the non-south facing sides. Something to help keep that heat in at night, because that's when it's going to get cold up here. Also, we could have put some maybe barrels of water, some kind of black barrels would have been good to absorb the heat and then hold it and release it slowly through the night. It would have helped regulate the temperature. Unfortunately, these aren't things that I've had a chance to do with this greenhouse. I'm just messing around right now. But when I get real serious with my growing and I want something permanent, I really need to put some thought and preparation into how I'm going to design the greenhouse so that I can extend my growing, maybe even grow year round. So I'll keep you updated on the greenhouse plans for the future. I'd like to do more videos on gardening and maybe specific plant varieties. So if you're into greenhouses, if you're into gardening, homesteading, I encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to comment and share. We appreciate you watching. You can check out more on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'll see you on the next video. See you later.